on. So you spent 3 months in solitary confinement.
In 2017.
In 2017. And you said you came in, you went in one person, you came out another.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? You came out like
I came
what?
out on edge.
On edge.
On edge. I couldn't connect with my kids, my family.
Disassociation.
Yeah, I struggled. So I struggled for years. I struggled. I had quick temper. I was ready to blow. So my personality had been changed.
Is that still the case, or have you healed from this?
So I got to a point where I just come out of another 7 months. So I've just and again, do you know when I had this 7 months? They had a warning when I was in there. So I sat down with the psychiatrist in the first week because when they put you on solitary confinement, they have to have meetings every week. The meetings with the psychiatrist, the head of the prison. So when I sat down, I asked the psychologist, "What's 7 months?" Because I hadn't done 7 months before. What's 7 months of solitary confinement going to do to me? She said it's going to be devastating. So I said, "How are you doing this? This was for a civil offence."
But how did you pass the time?
I passed the time with the love. Do you know, I read letters. So I got 20,000 birthday cards.
You were allowed, what's that?
I got 20,000 birthday cards.
They send you letters in prison.
So I got sacks every day.
Sacks
every day. The public support I receive. When I say I got sacks, and I'm sitting on my own every day, all day. I went into prison and didn't see another person till I left. So I walked in and walked out without seeing a prisoner. I just sat in my room.
You didn't see another person?
Didn't see another person.
Did they let you go outside for an hour?
Yeah, I got outside, but on my own. I got put in a cage on my own. So you walk around, there's a video. You walk around in a cage on your own, and then you go sit back in your room on your own.
You had no human interaction?
No. And they mess with everything. Your phone calls. Do you know, so the period when I went in one person and come out another, I'm sat on solitary confinement. I'm sat in a cell. The prison officers open up my cell and say, "Where's your wife?" I said, and do you know what they'd done? So they'd
Where's your wife?
Yeah, they'd get me out of my cell. I'll explain it. They'd get me out of my cell when the prison is in total lockdown. So between 1 and 2, when everyone's on lockdown, they'd walk me from my cell. They'd put me in an exercise yard on my own. Then I'd have my shower. Then I'd get put back in my cell. Now, they'd done that at 1 o'clock. My wife worked in a school. My kids were at school. So the only time I got the chance to use a phone was that time. So I didn't even get to speak to my family. I'm just sat in a room. And then they knock and say, "Where's your wife?" And I say, "How am I meant to know where my wife is?" They said, "We have intelligence she's going to be attacked with acid."
Intelligence that she's
going to be attacked with acid. We need to know where she is. And then they shut the door.
Oh, I see.
And then they shut the door.
As a form to abuse
Well, they
you?
knocked on my wife's door and gave her the intelligence. They knocked on my mum and dad's door and gave... So it's this intelligence. So they said, "We have intelligence. People want to..."
Did your wife visit you in the jail through the plexiglass? Or?
Yeah, she come to visit me. Even then, you'd have a...
Do they allow visitation?
They allow visitation.
How often was that?
I had, at that time, one every 3 weeks. One visit every 3 weeks.
That's what they allowed.
And it's meant to be a 2-hour visit. And then they'd have you sat in your cell, and you know your time is there, and you can watch the time going down. They'd get you after an hour.
I see.
Every little thing.
I see.
But when I say I come out a mess, an absolute mess. And even most recently, I come out a mess this time again.
It's like you healed and then you went back.
It took me years. It took me years.
To
I
heal.
had self-abuse. I'd say self-abuse. I turned to alcohol. I was in some dark places.
And how are you doing now with that?
I'm doing. So I found in 2021, I found my answer to my problems. Because I had lots of problems, lots of pressure, constant pressure. And I found my answer, which was physical exercise and gym. And I can't believe it took me 39 years to find it.
Find gym.
I found that I need it. You know, now, if I go for 4 or 5 days without physical hard exercise, I will start to spiral.
How about your diet? I mean, you can take care of your body, like you eating healthy?
In that 3 months, I had 5 tins of tuna a week. That was my diet. 5 tins of tuna, because all the food is prepared in the kitchen. The prison I was in was a 33% Muslim population. So the kitchens is all run by them. So they used to open my door and give me my meal with my name on it. Yeah, my name's on it. That's come from the kitchen, and you can get anything in jail. So I thought, I'm not going to die in jail eating a poisoned meal, right? So I'm conscious of these things. So I had £10 a week. So I had 5 tins of tuna a week to live on. I come out,
like tuna fish.
I lost 3 stone. I come out, I thought I looked all right, yeah? I've lost loads of weight, and I come out thinking I've lost weight, and I didn't know I was getting released. So I'm sat in my prison cell, and then my door started banging, and it's an officer, and he said, "You're going home." I said, "What?" He said, "You're going home, it's breaking news." So my lawyers didn't tell me, because they didn't want to get my hopes up, but they got before the High Court of Appeal, and they proved that everything they'd done was illegal. So then I got to walk out of jail, but I didn't know I was getting out of jail. So I'm sat there laying there thinking I've got another three months left. Boom, you're going home. And then so I was and when I've come walking out of jail, like read the comments. I thought I looked all right, but everyone what have they done to him? Because I went in weighty, normal, healthy, and I come out
so much weight.
Come out shriveled mess.
Yeah.
Which is solitary confinement is mental torture, but so my government couldn't let me get killed because the world's watching, so they tried to destroy me, and they successfully did. But at the same time, I am like, even when I walked out of jail this time, the first thing I done was I gave the date of our event. 13th. I walked out, I knew the cameras are there. I'd said on the 13th of September, we're taking over London, we're sending them a message. And it was the biggest event in British history on the 13th of September.
I remember that. I remember that.
United Kingdom event.
Those videos were insane.
Insane.
It was crazy. How many people were there?
Millions. Millions. I'll
So-
give you the overview.
So those bags of mail that you got, is it true that these people were living like vicariously through you because you have strength that they can't do, or
They
you're
feel
enduring?
like, I realise that they're emotionally attached to my story because they feel like I'm taking the hits for them.
You're taking the hits for them.
So they feel like, because I haven't backed down and I've maintained on the truth of the message.
Yeah.
I have never changed my message. I've stood and even like this, when I released this documentary, now,
Which documentary?
so after Panodrama, I was deleted. I was invisible. Yeah, I was, and then there was a story that I reported on in the north of England, and it was a Syrian refugee who got a bottle of water poured over him. Now the media said he got waterboarded, and the media story was that the Syrian refugee was a victim of racism. The English boy was a racist bully. I start getting contacted very quickly by parents saying this isn't true. That's not the story. And they started telling me that it was the total opposite story. So I then made a video saying, and the British public had raised £180,000 in 24 hours for the Syrian refugee. I made a video saying, look, this is wrong. Okay, you're being lied to. They come for me and took me through the courts, and they sued me. And as they were suing me, and they told me to apologise, and I said, I'm not apologising. It was the truth.
In the courtroom?
Yeah, I reported the truth. So they took me through the courts. Now, what I did is to prove the truth. I knew what I said was the truth. They closed down the school. That's how big this story was. Okay, they tried to get rid of it. They talked about this. This story was worldwide viral. It was on CNN. It was in Australia. It was in Israel. It was in China. The UN at the United Nations meeting, they spoke about this story. Yeah, because they said that this boy escaped war only to be the victim of war in the playground, and he was being terrorised because he was a Syrian refugee. So I went and wore a hidden button camera, and I knocked on the school teachers' doors.
I remember this.
And,
I remember this, 2023, yes.
and I knocked on the school teachers' doors, and I got the evidence that the school teachers were paid. All of them were paid. I got 7 teachers saying, like the Asian teacher comes out of his house and he says, Tommy, they paid us.
I saw this.
Yeah, and I'm recording him, yeah?
You're the one recording it.
I'm recording him. So when I get to court, I produce the evidence that not only were they paid, but the entire story was fabricated. They created the story to push a narrative, which is what so many stories are. We don't know how many stories are lies like this. So I produced all this evidence to the judge, which absolutely, this story was a far bigger story than Tommy Robinson, because the courts have been weaponised and politicised against all of you. Donald Trump. Like, we know, you've seen it, America's seen it. But what I managed to do was get covert recordings and prove every step of how they operated. So what is
the outcome that you want? Like, what is your goal of your movement specifically? Because it seems like your courts are not based upon law.
No,
I've never had a
jury.
Law.
I've never had a jury.
You've never had a jury.
Never ever had a jury.
I mean, sometimes a jury can go either way.
Well, I've
because
never
there
had
could
the
be these Somalians on your jury, and then you're screwed there.
I've never had it.
But the point is like your goal is not isn't political. It's to expose the truth.
My goal. So in 2015, when I started the journalism, I thought, you know what I need to do? I need to let everyone see what I've seen. I need to let them understand what it's like here. I need to let them understand that this is a blueprint.
You want people to see what you've seen.
I want them to see what I've seen, because if they're awake, because they need to be awake, they need to understand what's happened. They need to understand the danger.
What percentage of people in Great Britain are awake?
Now, they're awake.
What, 50-50, 20-75?
No, I'd say now, everywhere I walk, people are... Something huge is happening, something historic has happened in the last 12 to 18 months. The shift in the country is insane.
What do you attribute that to?
I attribute it to Elon Musk.
X.
Okay. And I attribute it to your election. in the United States.
Which one?
Donald Trump, the most recent one.
The most recent
you
one?
had to see all these things had to happen. When I got 18 months for a film that 167 million people end up watching because Elon Musk pinned it, everyone shared it. I knew. So as I got all this evidence in the court case, they bankrupt me for 1.3 million pounds, but I had the evidence that the whole thing's a lie. So I made it into a film. So the judge, when he bankrupted me, he gave me an order that said nothing that has been come out in this courtroom can ever be shown outside this courtroom, or you will get 2 years in prison. So he gave me this warning, and so I left the UK. I was broken. I got divorced. I was suffering still from PTSD. I was diagnosed with severe PTSD from the prison sentence and the solitary confinement. I left the UK, and I knew, and that was the first time I have lived my life, that if you worry about consequence, you will never bring change. If I worried about consequence, I wouldn't walk outside my door because people want to kill me. But if you worry about consequence, you're not going to change anything. You have to just do what's right and do it full and stick by it. But in that year, when I got the court verdict in 2021, whatever it was, I failed myself. I failed journalism. I failed the British public because I was too scared. I should have come out and released a film, but I was scared. Because I didn't want another. I thought I can't do 2 years of solitary confinement.
You can't do more 2 years.
I can't do it. I can't do it to my kids because my kids have lived through it. It's not just me that suffers. Your family suffer. So I thought I can't do it. So I moved abroad, and I was suffering. I was low. I was depressed.
Where did you move?
I went to Tenerife. I left because I thought my kids are better off. I thought my family's better off because of all the attacks. So I thought I'm not safe. They're not safe, and I've now lost everything. I've lost my marriage. I've lost my home. I've lost everything. They've bankrupted me, and I went abroad, and then I was suffering. I was low. I was still. I was totally deplatformed from every social.
What year was this?
This was 21.
2000, recently, 4 years ago.
And I was deplatformed from every social media in the world. So I had no voice. I had Getter. I opened Getter, which was a lifeline. I had Parler. So I was still working and still giving my message. And then I flew and then I was in Spain. It's 2023, 24. And October 7th has just happened. The streets are full across every Western nation of people, of Islamists working alongside the left, hatred at a level we've never seen. And I'm there, and I'm sat. I can remember where I was. I'm in a restaurant, and my phone's popped up, and I've had a message saying your account's back on X, because Elon had took over X, but I didn't get my account back for 9 months or a year. So I looked. And I saw Katie Hopkins, who's a very prominent vocal voice.
I've met her.
Well, do you know what? She doesn't. I moan a lot about what's happened to me. She doesn't. Yeah? You've got to hear her story. Sit her down here. Hear her life story.
I'll do that.
Hear what they done to her. They took her home. When I left, she left. She fled to America. She left her family because she thought they're safe without me. They destroyed her. Yeah, They went for her. So they went for everyone. So I leave, and then my phone pops up. My account's back. And then I went... And I searched, I said, Katie, your account's there, my account's there. What's going on? And I couldn't get in my account. So from that point, I thought, right, the fight's on. So that really lit me up, yeah? I thought, now I can reach people. So I flew back to the UK, and I organised a demonstration. And it was organised for Armistice Day, which is our Remembrance Day. Now, I've become known as the person who can galvanate and bring people out on the streets. If I make a call and say, we're coming, yeah? And people are listening and following. But I learned a lot. Remember, I felt like I'd done my apprenticeship with the English Defence League because we were boisterous, we were loud, we behaved in not such a great manner at times. But we had to at that moment in history because we needed them to hear us. So going fast forward now, I've learned a lot. And then so I come back to the UK and I organise a demonstration and I make a video saying they've took over our capital city every week. Every week, not this Saturday. They're not going to ruin Remembrance Day because we're coming in our thousands. So I made this video. Do you know what the government done? The film that I'm talking about, they wrote to my the Attorney General contacts my solicitor and said we are contemplating, and I'd been gone for 2 years, so they didn't care about me. I'd been gone. We're contemplating prosecuting Tommy for contempt of court for the film which exposed them all because it had been leaked in the United States at a cinema in Florida. I hadn't released it, but my injunction was such that if anyone sees this footage, I still get done. So they made a video threatening me. I think they wanted me to stop my demonstration. Now I know I've got a platform. So I reply. I make a video online saying, Mr. Attorney General, go fuck yourself. Yeah, I'm not like you're not. Let everyone see what you're going to do, and then a week. So we have our first demonstration now. What we've done is, if you change the culture, you change the politics. Now I'm back. I've got a platform.
Yeah.
Katie Hopkins is back. We're back. Other creators are back. So I contacted 15 creators and I set up a meeting and we spent 2 days. We spent months, but 2 days locked together.
Let's face it, healthcare is a mess. Outrageous premiums, surprise bills, denied claims, and now the rates are climbing again. Medical debt is the #1 cause of bankruptcy, even for people with insurance. That's why I switched to Impact Health Sharing. No networks, no woke nonsense, just real savings and up to 50%. You can pick your doctor, there's no surprise bills, there's 24/7 telehealth, and maternity support. Take control of your healthcare before the system decides for you. Go to impactomg.com, that's impactomg.com, or call 855-378-6777 now. Impact Health Sharing, built differently.